Welcome to the second webinar about the European Parliament simulation exercise. Today we will see some processes, methods and means about the simulation. So we will first say a few words about the action. Secondly, we will see some information about the European Parliament and its role. And then we will see how the European Parliament simulation process will be conducted, and then about the topic that will be discussed. So the European Parliament simulation exercise will be conducted through the internet. It will be a telesimulation, and it is organized by the Hellenic Association of Political Scientists under the academic coordination of Professor Fotinias Deraki. The basic aim of the simulation is to develop the understanding of the participants about the way that the European Parliament functions and thus enhance the importance of democratic institutions. The consultation and legislative process of the European Parliament will be simulated through the performance of the main roles from the participants. The participants, which are students and pupils, will be members of the European Parliament. Some of them are the leaders of the different political groups and the the President of the European Parliament. Students will be able to understand both the functions of the institutional preparatory process and the differences between party groups which are based on their different ideological backgrounds. Well, here we have to clarify something. The simulation exercise does not aim to teach the participants about the real parameters of the issue that will be discussed or to solve the real issue. So that's why the real issue will be simplified and adjusted to the needs of the simulation. Participants should be based on the data that the organizers will provide, and of course should be creative and open to dialogue. The main aim is to enhance democratic dialogue, to enhance the expression of different opinions. So actually here we can see some aims of this project is to empower young people towards democracy and its benefits, to enhance human rights, tolerance, solidarity, youth engagement, gender and general equality through increasing the awareness on European citizenship, and to prepare and achieve the essential and integrated democratic identity of an active citizen in the 21st century. So now let's see some information about the European Parliament and its role. European Parliament is one of the main institutions of the European Union, and it has legislative powers. So these are the three key institutions of the European Union, and the European Parliament represents the European citizens, and it has now 705 members. The powers of the European Parliament are the following: legislation, budget, parliamentary control, and international agreements. We will simulate the legislation power. So how the ordinary legislative procedure is conducted? We will simulate the first phase of the ordinary legislative procedure, and in this procedure these three institutions are involved. The initiative control is in the European Commission, which proposes legislation to the European Parliament and to the Council of the European Union. There's the first reading from the European Parliament and the Council of the European Union, and if they accept, then there is the legislation. If they don't accept, they are going to the second reading. And then, if they don't accept again, if they have some differences, then they are going to the conciliation committee, where the final decision is made after the third reading, and they adopt or not the proposal. So here here are the different steps. First, the Commission proposal. The European Commission submits a legislative proposal to the European Union. So we will start our simulation from this first step. And it is the first reading in the Parliament. And during the first reading, the European Parliament examines the Commission's proposal and may approve it without modifications or amend it. This is the second step of the ordinary legislative procedure, and this is the second step that we will simulate. Then, in the reality, there is the first reading from the Council, and if they adopt it, then the legislation is adopted. And then, if they don't, they are going to the second reading from the Parliament and from the Council. So if they don't agree, then they are going to the Conciliation Committee, which is composed of an equal number of members of the European Parliament and Council representatives, and they try to reach an agreement on a joint text. And if this is unsuccessful, the legislative act will not enter into force and the procedure is ended. If a joint text is agreed, it is forwarded to the European Parliament and the Council for the third reading. And then there is the third reading and they adopt or not the legislation. So if it is adopted, then it becomes legislation. So this is the real process. I have to tell you that we will not simulate all this process. We will simulate only this step, the first step, which is the Commission proposal and the first reading in the Parliament. But we have here all the process in order for the students and the pupils to know how this is conducted. So the real seat distribution is this now. And the political group's real distribution is this. We will simulate this distribution and we will do it, actually we will adapt it to our number of participants. We will see how this will happen. Here is the typical calendar of the European Parliament. So we will simulate the plenary meetings and the political group meetings. There are also committee meetings and external activity. We will not simulate these, but only plenary and political group meetings. So let's see how we will simulate the European Parliament here. So in the first step, the organizer will have the role of the Commission, and they will make a proposal, and then the pupils and the students will take over their roles as members of the European Parliament and will discuss about the possible amendments on the proposal following the processes, and the discussion will produce some changes or not, and the proposal will be adopted or not. So let's see how this will happen. Well, actually we have simulated these. You can see the real numbers, and we have adjusted it to our numbers here. Of course, you can see that we haven't included the non-inscrits because it's a little bit difficult to simulate with non-inscrits inside. And these are the members of the European Parliament and their distribution in the different political groups. So, the first day, we'll have some welcome addresses, an introduction about the simulation, and the first plenary session, where there will be the first actually presentations from the leaders, and of course, if somebody wants to say a few words, this is allowed. And then we have the political group meetings in which they will discuss about this legislation proposal and about what they are going to propose for amendments if they have some proposals, and this is very, very important step. The second day, and after these meetings, there will be the second plenary session in which we will discuss about the possible amendment proposals, and then the voting process. And here you can see these 2 days, the welcome addresses in the first introduction and the rules of process, and the first plenary session and the presentation in the proposal of the European Commission. And of course, the political group meetings. And the second day, we'll have the second plenary session, amendment proposals, voting procedure, and approval or not. So actually, it is very important, of course, if we can see here, it is very important for the pupils and the students to discuss and, of course, to express their different opinions. And I will tell you about that afterwards. First of all, we can say that here we have introduced some commemorative awards for the first best participant, the second and the third best participant, the most democratic participation, the best speech, the best ideas and suggestions, and the first best school mission, the second best school mission, and the third best school mission. Now, let's say a few words about the topic. Now, for the needs of the simulation exercise, we have chosen the following topic, which is the real one actually. Erasmus, the Union Program for Education, Training, Youth and Sport, the period between 1st January 2021 and 31st December 2027. So here we have also to say that there is no need for the pupils to try to find out the real discussion about Erasmus, because all the necessary data will be provided by the organizers and they will be simplified and modified in hypothetical scenarios for the implementation of this simulation. Here we have to say another thing also. The creation of new ideas, the discussion and the improvisation is highly recommended. We'll conduct at least 7 seminars, one for each political group at least. And I have to say that you should participate in these seminars, because there we will discuss about the different opinions of the political groups and the way that they can propose amendments. So please join these meetings. They are very important and they will organize you. And don't forget that it's up to you to create new ideas. It's up to you to discuss about them. And it's up to you to create new things. So here we aim at the increase of discussion and the increase of free exchange of views. So bearing this in mind, join the seminars, see the different opinions, discuss with your colleagues, and find ways to propose things that will make this legislation better, bearing also in mind the different ideological perspectives that every political group has, because you have a role here and you have also to be adjusted to this role. So I would like to thank you very much for attending this webinar, and I would like again to remind you to join these 7 seminars, each one for each political groups. We have actually categorized the different political groups. Every student and every pupil are members of a different political group. So please see where you are, in which political group you are, and join these seminars where we discuss these things. Thank you again very much.